So I'm really excited to bring on our first guest. Oh my goodness. Our first guest is Aiken. He is a content creator, and most of us know him as the Food King, being super funny. Not many people know that he actually grew up in a lower income single parent family and constantly compared himself with his normal peers and often felt neglected. Throughout his life, he has lost hope, almost got sent to a boys' home at 14 years old, and became broke in his late 20s. Today, he's a well-known personality, but most importantly, he loves the work he does, and he found purpose in his life. Aiken will share his story of how he defined his own success by shifting his life's focus to the things that really matter, listening to his inner voice, and choosing to make an impact in people's lives. Please give a round of applause for Aiken!
Oh my gosh! Congratulations!
Oh my gosh, thank you so much.
This is so amazing, right? We're like on Oprah or Ellen. This is so cool. Yeah.
Next time they'll say, I want people to be like Ray. No.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna just make myself comfortable and
Yes,
chill with you.
100%.
Yay.
Yeah. So thank you so much for making time to be here today. Aiken was telling me backstage that he said no to a lot of other events to be here with us today.
No, I seriously I've been saying no to everything. So my when Ray first emailed me, right, she received an auto reply saying, "Hello, I'm busy, don't contact me."
Yeah.
Then I read the email, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool, please ignore my auto reply.
He sent me an Instagram message like 2 minutes later.
Yeah, I was panicking because I want to be on your show. So here I am. Thanks for having me, I appreciate it.
You're most welcome. We all thank you.
Yay.
And I want to start off by asking you, we see you as the funny person, right? Sometimes I think of your face, I laugh. Okay, kidding.
Yeah.
But I'd like to know, what are some pivotal moments of your childhood and of your life that you feel made you the person that you are?
Okay, so I think as Ray kind of touched on just now, I come from a lower income single parent family. So I was raised by my mom and I went to ACS. Any ACCIANs here? Oh, one. Okay, there you go. So ACS boys, right? They are very wealthy, right? So can you imagine coming from a low income family, right? My idea of normal was like a Rolls Royce that dropped the kids off, So I was just like, wow, how come my normal is so different from everybody else? And I think that made me go like, wow, am I so far behind? And I've always had a knack for maybe performing arts. So even in primary school, I was doing something that was a bit more creative. But I think all my life, what was celebrated is if you're an athlete, right? Or if you're good at math and science. And I wanted to be that so much. And I pushed myself to be eventually, I was like, okay, I want to be a badminton player. So that time it was all the rage. So I was like, okay, I need to get into school team. So I trained really, really hard. I eventually made it.
So you made it in the school team?
I did,
Actually, oh, wow.
Yeah. This is what rejection can do, or insecurity can do, push you to achieve, right? So, but at the same time, my dad was really hard on me because I think he believed that he had an idea of what success looked like, right? He had this idea that you have to go to ACS in secondary school, you need to be athletic, and I was a really chubby kid. I was in Tough Club, which is another trauma to be discussed, but not Tough Club, you just can't eat recess, then you have to go and okay, don't put up your hands. So you have to skip recess. So I'm so hungry, right? And then I have to go and run or exercise. And so my dad would be really, really tough on me about that.
What would he literally say? What are the things that he said to you?
I think coming from my family background, my family situation is a bit complicated. I think my dad at that time, he felt like he didn't want to have me as a child. So there were a lot of times where he would say things like, I told your mom it's a mistake to have you.
Oh man.
Yeah, and as a child, as a young man who is looking to your father for identification and affirmation, right? I think it really, really wounded me. Yeah, so I tried so hard to be his definition of success.
And that is being an athlete, going to ACS, doing well in school.
Yeah, when my PSLE results came, I got D for math. I'm so bad at math until now. All my life I never passed maths. It's just not my thing, right?
Yeah.
But I was posted to St. Hilda Secondary School, not ACS, and he didn't speak to me for 6 months.
How do you feel when he didn't speak to you? Because I'm getting a sense that your dad was someone that you kind of looked up to. I mean, he wanted him to be proud of you.
Absolutely. So I think it really messed with me, and it made me give up of
Well,
success.
I'm so curious to know like what had happened before you had that moment of like giving up. You have been listening to this man
Yeah.
for so many years.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there is some weird process of like,
Yeah.
for you to go, you know what, I give up.
So that moment came, right, when I was in St. Hilda's, and I went for I had our first exam, and I taught my class. And I told, like me yearning for his affirmation, right, goes like, I taught my class. And just something in his face, right, communicated that, yeah, but you're the top in St. Hilda's, not in ACS. And I just was like, I think I'm done. And I decided like, you know what, since it's so hard to gain this approval, right, or to feel like I am affirmed and celebrated for my strengths, I'm gonna do whatever I want. And that's where I started to become rebellious. I was hanging out the void deck, smoking with my friends at 13, mixing with what people would call bad company, getting into fights, because that was me showing like, I'm giving up. Yeah. So
Were you, when you were doing all of that, like smoking in the void deck, being with bad company, who were you trying to show that to? Were you trying to just show people that you are like trying to be rebellious, or was it more of like your way of saying, you know what, I don't care anymore?
Yeah,
it's like telling yourself that I don't care.
yeah, I think it was telling myself, I don't care. Since I cannot reach whatever level of success, I give up.
I hear you.
Yeah.
So we know of this is you in the past.
Yeah.
Now I'm curious, how did you find your way to like comedy, to hosting? What had to happen along the way where you decided to, use your voice and do something with your voice?
So I've always known that I'm always aware my strengths are communication, language, comedy. These things I discovered in ACS also. I noticed that people, when I do something or I say something, people laugh. I noticed that when I speak, people listen. And this was something that this happened when I was really young. So I was like, hey, I think there's something here.
You know what I think is interesting? That you actually had that aha moment where you're like, hey, I think there's something here.
Yeah.
But what I thought was interesting is that you thought, hey, maybe there's something here. And you decided to like pick the breadcrumbs that was dropped.
Yeah.
Right?
And I also, to be fair, I really needed people to say, hey, these are your strengths and I'm going to affirm them. And my community in church at the time, it was the affirmation and the love that I needed when I was a teenager, right? How I even got into this was because I was so broke and I was in poly. I needed a job that paid more than $10 per hour. You know, poly fees from secondary school is like a couple of bucks, and then in poly it's 1,000 plus. So I was like stressing out. One of my church friends, when I was giving the announcements in church, said, hey, when you give announcements quite entertaining, why don't you try to audition to be a host on TV? So I was like, hey, why not? I just need to make money to pay for my school fees, right? So I went on the website, and anything that says male Chinese 20, I would take. So my first ever audition, and it's such a funny story because my first ever audition was McDonald's, right? And it was for Filet-O-Fish. And I had to say Filet-O-Fish in Chinese, but I could not. Anyone here knows what's Filet-O-Fish in Chinese? Oh my gosh, somebody actually know.
What is it?
What is it? Yeah, okay, so some things haven't changed, right?
Very funny. That's my mom.
Oh, that's
She's gonna tell me, hey, see, since young I tell you already.
right? Yeah. So some successes will never be attained, and we just need to accept.
You just need to accept it.
But I went, and within 2 weeks of the audition period, I booked my first TV show. Yeah, wow. And I was first of all, I was like, oh, I never see this kind of money in my life. But also, when I was doing the show, I finally felt like it clicked that, oh my gosh, I think this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Right. So you know what it seems, right, is that maybe you didn't see at that point in time.
Yeah.
Because it was so painful to be getting so looked down by your dad. But all the things that you had to go through back then gave you that perfect opportunity to discover your strengths.
Yeah.
Right? Otherwise, you would probably be an athlete.
Ayo.
Or like, that today.
No, totally.
Yeah.
And I want to encourage you in this that I know you already know some of your strengths, but I think my journey was especially difficult because nobody's recognized my strengths until very much later in my life. I had to enter an environment where people celebrated my strengths. That's why when we're talking about, I love what you put up there, mentorship and community. That was it for me. I had mentors. I had to have a surrogate family almost within my community to say, this is a place where you can develop your strengths. So that was so helpful for me because I was given a space in my church, let's say, to try emceeing, to try giving the announcements, to hone my strengths, to develop a confidence on the stage, to communicate, to be creative, and that's really, really what helped me. And I think one of the most memorable moments was when I was doing a kids show, by the way, where we would like do science experiments, and I'm the mad scientist, right? But there was one take in particular that they never used, but the director said to me, "Can you do this in a British accent?" And I just did it in a British accent, and they all were cracking up. And the moment they shout cut, right, everybody on set clapped. And that was like such a defining moment in my career, in my work, because it started to make me go like, I think there's something here.
So I'm hearing the phrase, I think there's something here quite a number of times.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is something that we could remind ourselves to take note of.
Yeah.
When our brains tell us that, hey, this is something that I seem to be interested in.
Yeah.
Follow that footsteps.
Absolutely.
Right? Follow that path. Because I think when we're younger, right, it's easier to like, there's something here because you had nothing.
Yeah.
But especially if you're currently in careers now, then it's a bit scarier.
Yeah.
What if you're in a stable career?
Yeah.
And you're like, there's something here. I like this.
Yeah.
But I'm in a stable career, I shouldn't.
Totally.
Right? So the idea of like defining your own success, especially when things are safe and comfortable, is something that I would like to discuss. Right? Like, do you guys know Aiken from Food King? Yes? Right? And Food King was like if I think of food recommendations, it's Food King. And when I think of Food King, it's Aiken's face.
Oh, thanks.
Okay? So obviously that was your boat for a very long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean how many years were you hosting Food King?
I would say 4 to 5 years.
Yeah, 4 to 5 years.
Over 200 episodes. I'm very tired.
That's crazy.
And my cholesterol was through the roof.
Oh, I mean I can imagine. So
I ate so much. I was on every
can I just
episode.
say you look great?
Hey, thanks. I've been working out. This part of my redefinition of that success last year was working out.
Oh, that's so important.
So.
But the thing is, we all know the elephant in the room. Not just Food King is gone, but the company that was hosting Food King went down the drain.
Yeah.
When that happened, how was it for you? Your boat was taken away.
Yeah, so I would say my confidence was really, really shaken because I had always been with an agency. I was with MediaCorp for about 6 years freelancing. Nobody know, right? Yeah, because nobody watched. Yeah, so no offense if you're at MediaCorp. But I lost confidence in myself because I was now independent. I remember thinking like, do I continue work? Clients dropped me, and reasonably so, during the time where the saga was like breaking out. It was all everyone was talking about. And for the most part, right, I felt like I had no part to really play in it because it's not my divorce, it's not really my problem. I was just there to eat and host the show. To host the show.
But because you were part of that company, immediately, and most of your work was with that company. So when that company went down, what happened to your brand?
Exactly. So what gave me the courage reevaluate this and think about where I'm going to go, whether I'm going to come back to work essentially or come back to start my own thing. I was in Korea and I was like just sitting by the beach, and I had already this inkling that I want to start my own channel. I've been told by people in my previous company, if you do your own solo thing, who will watch? So I believe, I really believe for a period of time. And then my saving grace was McDonald's. So McDonald's emailed me when I was just on holiday and on a break, and they said like, are you going to start your own YouTube channel because we want to buy 3 videos from you? Wow. Then I was like, on where? There's nothing now, like what are you buying? They said like, if you're going to start your YouTube channel, we want to buy 3 videos for you. And that gave me such a confidence.
It gave you the affirmation.
Yeah.
So right now, are you making food videos on your channel?
So I love that you asked this because you see, like, for such a long time, right, my brand and my subject matter has been food. It's still a passion of mine, but I came back with food. I knew the formula. If I just do Aiken plus foodie host plus funny, I can get 100,000 views. So when I came back and launched my channel, you'll see that I was doing that for like about 8 episodes plus travel now, right? But then I realized, oh my gosh, I'm so unfulfilled and I'm so bored of this safety. And I had to come to a point where I had to redefine that success again. And it's now evolving into something else.
And you did mention, so Aiken is going to be launching his first ever episode of something different very soon. Can you just share with us a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, so I think that there's so much more to me as a person and my journey than just food and comedy, right? It's very inspired by stuff like this, like a talk show or interview and all that. And so our first episode, I thought, like, you know, if I want to get people and like to share their journeys and talk about their experiences, I need to start from home. So I had this idea, like maybe I get my mom to share her story and why she's a single mom. It's going to come out soon. I don't want to spoil it so much.
Yes, I don't. But I heard a little bit about it. You guys have to watch it when it's out because I am honestly just enamored by your courage and also your mom's strength. I want to ask you this. You have been known as the funny guy, and that makes you the money. Definitely there's a risk in changing path because what if nobody likes that, nobody wants to hear that from you, and it just doesn't fly. What gave you the courage to still choose to listen to your heart?
Wow, that's a really good question. I don't know how to explain it. I'm just unable to put out another food video on YouTube. It just wouldn't sit right with me anymore. As I've gone, like, I've been quite open about this, but like, I've been like going for therapy and counseling, right? And as like the more I grow, the more I'm listening to my own voice. Finally at 34, after listening to everybody's other voices for many years, right? Being with so many agencies, so many bosses, so many like I finally came out of survival mode at 33. And I stopped and go like, okay, you don't have to survive anymore. You've got enough. And then I asked myself, what is it you want to do? I literally just stopped that YouTube channel and I go like, if I could do anything and make whatever content I want,
what would it be?
What would it be?
Wow.
And that was the answer.
That is so powerful.
I want to share stories. I want to go deeper and I want to bring that deeper conversation, that impact, right, onto the social media space. Because for so long it's like gossip, scandal, drama.
I think what we need is a brand new content. It's a different conversation. Not just the things that make us laugh and gossip. But what speaks to our heart. And I'm so glad that you're using your influence for that. Okay, thank you so much for sharing, Aiken.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And we want to hear maybe just like one question. So let's see. Okay. How about this? In order to be the successful, I don't like to use the word influencer, but I mean you have influence that you are today. Is there anything that was really hard, like a challenge that you had with this kind of influence? Was there any one challenge along the way that was kind of tough?
I think when I was in survival mode, right, and for most of Food King, I thought I had to make money to survive. This is finally my big opportunity. When you are in survival mode and when you are pushing and you are, doing what it takes, right, I think I lost my voice. I absolutely lost my voice in what it means to be commercially successful, brand, or that authenticity, that integrity as a person, because now I have to think of my company, now I have to think of my partners, now I have to think of the audience.
If you can think of one word, one thing that gave you back that voice, what would it be?
Wow. One word that gave me back that voice. I don't know if it's one word, but I would say stopping and listening to myself.
Owning your voice.
Exactly. Exactly. I really had to go, what do I want? Because I've been listening to what everybody wants. I've been entangled in everybody else's problems and drama. And then finally at this, like 33, it came like, what is it that I want? Where do I want to go? What is the content I want to make? I finally have the chance to own that.
And I think ultimately it's going back to asking yourself, what do you want? And muting away what people are telling you to do.
Absolutely.
I am so excited. I think we're all so excited to see your upcoming videos.
Yay, thank you.
Thank you so much for being here today and for sharing with us your journey.
Thank you.
The highs and lots of the lows. And just being who you are.
Thank you. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you for listening.